100 pages or
Short
less.
story.
But it's well, I'm not saying that to make light of Cam having not read it. I'm only saying that to bring up the next fact, which is even though it's that small, it still would take a contemporary reader longer to get through it, because most of the time you're trying to figure out just what the fuck a lot of these phrases and things mean, what they're trying to say. Mm-hmm. It's the same as when you read the Canterbury Tales today. It took me several years after reading it the first time having a professor point these things out to me. It took me several years to realize how much profanity and foul language is in the Canterbury Tales, and how many lewd and crude jokes are just thrown around and thrown about. Which is why later when I saw Game of Thrones, certain phrases, I knew what they meant now. It's just like, okay, years ago that would have just sounded like some nonsensical Middle English word, but now I know that person is really in the modern age telling that other person to suck a dick or something like that. Like literally, that's just what they're saying. But in that in the parlance
of that time period,
exactly.
Old indeed.
You saw a finest cunt of a horse's prick.
Or what's the one? The one that means vagina is like, the whispering whale or something like that.
Whispering willow.
Whispering willow. Yeah, that's
yeah. Bro, you gotta watch Spartacus. Spartacus is laced.
That's the best one-liners. All right. With that, welcome everybody to Blerdlines. This is your man Cam. With me, as always, is
the other Cam Squared,
as well as
Big Josh,
and always keeping us honest, the literary genius.
Professor. It's always excited to talk about Nolan and Greek mythology. You combine the two, it's exciting.
Unless it's Tenet.
Tenet is okay. I'm not going to get into it with you on Tenet. Not today.
You know what? I'm gonna do what we finally watched. We're gonna do we finally watched Tenet because I haven't watched it yet. So stay tuned.
That one will have a subtitle. We finally watched Tenet, Cam 2 versus the Professor. That's what that one's going to be. I am challenging you now. I'm going to challenge your dislike of Tenet.
Mortal Kombat!
Once Nolan insulted my intelligence by lowering the fucking sound. So I was so pissed at that movie. But anyway.
Bro, that's a whole thing that he does. Like he likes room sound and doesn't alter the volume in post at all ever. That was my one complaint about Oppenheimer. But that's his thing.
That's classic film.
Interesting.
Like that's
it is. It's not my style of mixing.
It's annoying,
but it can be. It can. I ain't gonna lie. It really can be. But
anyway,
you know, it is an artistic way to mix audio. I will give it that.
All right, that's a polite way of saying. All right. Well, the reason why we're here, Nolan's the Odyssey just dropped their new trailer. Seemed a little rushed or early, personally, but I'm curious to see. I feel like it was a studio thing that we got to get something out before the end of the new year. But either way, it's star-studded. It has a huge ass budget. You know, that whole thing. It's a blockbuster. In the time of blockbusters are always flopping. So we're gonna check it out, give us our impressions, and go from there.
After years of war, no one could stand between my men and home. Not even me.
Promise me you will come back.
What if I can't?
Prior to us talking, I didn't realize that was Matt Damon. I purposely didn't look at the credits. I just want to watch the movie, not care who's in the movie for my personal taste. Because I do think, based on my limited experience of watching the TV show miniseries, I enjoyed the story. So I didn't need star
Which
power.
one are you talking about? Because I think there's a couple.
It's the one with the one I want to say his name is Armand Asante. That's his real name.
I know Armand Asante, so that's probably that's
that one.
Yeah.
That was the NBC miniseries, wasn't it?
NBC miniseries one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I remember it exactly the one you're talking about now. Yeah.
So that is my familiarity with the story. It's something I should have read, but just never got to. And as we pointed offline, it's not an easy read at a younger age. So I'm probably sure I can like tackle that now, and it's pretty short. But like again, from my experience of the previous TV miniseries, I didn't need star power for this story to intrigue me to watch it. So I'm kind of interested to see how this goes. But from his trailer, and this is, you guys have mentioned, this is typical Nolan. I can't tell what's going on. If I wasn't familiar with the story, I'd be like, I have no clue what this movie is about. Outside of the little subtle nuances that you do see, but it looks interesting. I think I may go into the theaters and pay some money to watch this. So,
I definitely will be paying to go and see it because there's no filmmaker alive right now with this side. As far as Hollywood is concerned, with the exception of maybe Denis Villeneuve and a few others who make scaled up cinema as well as Christopher Nolan does, and he's been doing it with great consistency since really The Dark Knight. And this looks like that. I think for the teaser, it looks like they were just trying to show us that scale, show us the detail that he's put into it. You know, those ancient Greek long ships, like just amazing design in the detail and the way they look. Because everything that's been recorded and handed down in terms of images and paintings and descriptions of those ships, that's it. That's what they look like. And the detail of the oarsmen and how even the captain has to come down in a storm like that and man the oars or they will die. The swords, the armor, again, me being very much a fan of classical mythology, and I've studied it and read a lot of these antiquity stories, that this looks like it will do exactly what you wanted to do. And last thing I'll say is that as far as the star power, Nolan's films negate and mute that very well. You don't think about the fact that you just saw Tom Holland, Anne Hathaway, Matt Damon, these big names that have been in film for the last 20 years. You don't think about that. The only thing you're thinking about is this is this epic story set during the Mycenaean and Greek, the age of heroes as far as the Greeks are concerned, and as far as the world is concerned.
Yeah, and I was going to say the epic scale of everything looks like, again, there's not that many people that can still do a blockbuster movie at scale. And then also, too, I think, even from just an artistic standpoint, like, again, the little, the vertebrae on the helmet and all that kind of stuff, like these slight, like, details. Because, again, we've all seen Greek mythology, and we've all seen Greek, we've seen these things ad nauseum. So how are they going to do a slight twist on it to make it something fresh and new? And so I like that they kept the armor and everything else true to form to what we know, but then add a little bit of a twist to make it its own. And I was like, just from what I've seen, I'm already intrigued about how they're going to do these types of things. Same thing with the creatures and the monster. Like, we have the Cyclops in, but I'm glad they only showed a little bit of it. We saw a silhouette and that's about it. That's perfect. I don't need to see that to the movie, those types of things.
And it also leaves a little bit, I'm just going to throw this in really quick. Sorry, Josh. It just also leaves in a little bit of what I love about these Age of Hero, ancient world set stories that take it a little serious is when you saw the Cyclops emerging, it didn't look like something that was so supernatural out of this world. It looked like something that could have been potentially a type of humanoid creature that existed that humans eventually killed off. It didn't look like this. So in other words, we're getting that great intersection between myth and legend, and that's what these kinds of films do well. It's not to cast doubt entirely on the myth, but or to support it, but just to say that something was there because these people talked about it, wrote about it, so that it couldn't have been all just imagination.
Yeah, Josh.
It's gonna be like Oppenheimer in terms of the technical aspect because he's filming it on Sony Venice cameras, if I'm not mistaken. And Oppenheimer was to date the most visually stunning for a topic that I don't care about, for a subject matter that I wasn't really, I take it or leave it. The visuals of that movie from a technical standpoint were eye-popping. Seeing it in 70 millimeter IMAX was just one of the greatest technical achievements that I've gotten to witness. And so if he's doing that again, and from what I know, he is filming it in 70 millimeter IMAX, this is going to be amazing just to look at. And then, as everyone else has mentioned, Nolan is renowned for his ability to scale things upward. So his eye and his take, his ability to tell a story, his ability to sort of get the maximum amount of juice out of the actors. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. It's just a matter of how good. I don't think the teaser really gives away too much, as a proper teaser shouldn't. So
it gives away nothing. If you ask me, it's just a bunch of shots strung together. Yeah. And we know that the only thing I would say that it gave that I didn't know whether they would show was the fact that we will see the actual Trojan horse scene where we see them in the horse and we see the Trojans trying to test it and they're jamming swords in it. And one actually goes into Odysseus' arm and like they're trying to keep him from screaming because if he screams in pain, it's over. The jig is up. So that was the only thing I was curious to see how much of the Trojan War they might show. And that might be Nolan never tells his stories linearly. His stories are almost always told in a kind of third act, second act, first act, or sometimes second act, first act, third act, or sometimes third act, first act, second act. You can never tell which structure you're going to get with his films. So that could come in a flashback, but I'm just glad to see that they will show it because that's a big deal for Odysseus himself, is that he's the one that came up with that idea, with that strategy, because to play on the Trojans, their superstition and their deep belief in symbolism and portents and things like that.
Yeah. That's the part. That's the thing I was thinking too, because I think, because this has been a story that's always been told in different ways, especially on film, on animation, on retolling, like people use it as a basis for their stories and those types of stuff. Again, here we at, a seasoned director who's pretty much one of the only blockbuster, like Dee was saying earlier, and being able to show this story at scale, but then also adding the pieces that we've kind of take for granted. Like the Trojan Horse is a great example of why that's so important, and actually seeing it in that. And then I'm also curious too, because Ludwig is doing the score on this, and that's been his like main dude for I think since Dunkirk now. And same thing with the cinematographer, same cinematographer from Dunkirk and Oppenheimer, I believe, as well. So like he kind of has all the pieces in place to do what he wants to do at that large scale. And
he floats between Ludwig and Hans. And I think the only reason that one is involved and not the other is because Hans is literally working on Dune Messiah right now.
Yep.
And so and he's been working on Dune with Denis Villeneuve for a very long time. And I think that's just been their kind of exchange. Like, and like now Chris is just like, oh no, you go ahead, keep working with Hans, and I'll just work with Ludwig. And that work led to him winning an Oscar. Yeah. I'm not sure if Zimmer I think Zimmer has an Oscar, if not for The Lion King, for some of his late other work. But I'm not sure.
He definitely does. And I have a correction. It's not Sony Venice cameras. He's using custom built IMAX cameras.
Yes, I remember reading. Yes, you're right. Yep.
So this is going to be minty. There's no scenario where I don't go to see this in 70 millimeter.
Because I think the whole thing is shot in 70 millimeter, and that's very rare. The last time that was done, well, not the last time, but one of the most recent examples where it was done and done well was, of course, The Hateful Eight. There was a few others, Oppenheimer, but I don't even think he shot all the scenes in Oppenheimer in 70 millimeter. So again, it's just one of those rare technical things in big budget cinema. So to add on to what Josh is saying, it's absolutely a film, good, bad, or ugly. The first time around, you want to go to the theaters because that's how it's meant to be seen. And one quick thing. This film, or this title, this story is such that important in terms of the human history that followed those events, or that world, that era, because we don't know how much of this stuff happened or how much of it Homer was just fictionalized, retelling and making certain people look more like heroes, certain things stand out more. But the story itself has become the prototype for, like we were saying, the hero's journey, but also the prototype for all journeys like that. Think about it. What do you call a journey like that? Most people say you are taking an Odyssey. And that comes directly from the story there. It's always hearkening back to that journey, to the Odyssey itself. So, and the same thing with the Trojan Horse, like that became an idiom in society that represents deception and trickery and things like that. So this story is that important to the overall tapestry of literature that's why it's worth I think seeing at least once, and then at least once in the theater. And this trailer confirms that for me.
Yeah.
Prestige.
Having seen Oppenheimer in 70 millimeter, I can tell you that it became apparent the scenes that were filmed in IMAX versus the scenes that weren't. Like it jumps out at you. Not in a bad way, because I think it's a good mix, and I think Nolan's cinematographer does an exceptional job of lighting a room, of positioning camera, and using IMAX cameras where they're most effective, and then switching out of that. And after a while, your eyes sort of adjust to it. But being me, I can tell when he's using the IMAX camera versus not, because the quality jump is just so drastic.
The Dark Knight is the best example of that in The Dark Knight Rises. You can see that transition almost immediately, especially in the opening scene with the bank robbery.
The bank robbery, the bank robbery scene from the time, and it jumps off the screen from the first shot when he's doing that panning shot of the building that they're about to break into, and then
it goes into the building, and it's scaled down and
completely different. Yeah.
So it's totally right. And I'm assuming that he's trying to get closer to where you can't notice that transition, which is the whole point of the camera, the IMAX camera, and the things that he's doing now with this one. So I think in the Odyssey, we're going to see that, or we will be able to catch it, and people like us because we work in a profession and we see this stuff all the time. But the normal average person will not be able to notice the difference if there is a switch off.
The Odyssey is being filmed 100% in IMAX.
That's what I thought. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So there's not going to be any drop off. It's all going to be just dripping with amazing detail.
Yeah, and it's the same cinematographer. Last name's Van Hoytema. He's Dutch, but he did Tenet, Nope, Oppenheimer, Dunkirk. He did Spectre. He did Interstellar as well.
He's got a pretty good, solid filmography, and that's his guy since he stopped, because he used to work with Wally Feister a lot, but Wally Feister, I think the last thing he did with Nolan was Inception, and then after Inception, he started trying to do his own films. He did that film Transcendence, which was a complete bomb in every way. But Nolan has had a great track record with cinematographers, actors, everybody. I mean, everybody wants to work with that dude at some point. Which there's a recent clip floating around with Jennifer Lawrence and Robert Pattinson, and she asked him. I forget how Josh, you're familiar, so you check it, but he's like, basically he asked her, what filmmaker would you work for and they don't have to call you or whatever, you just work for them immediately. And she's like, Nolan. And she's like, he's never called me. And of course, she's talking to Robert Pattinson, who's already been in, he's been in one? He's about to be in the second, because he's in Odyssey too. Yeah.
He was in Tenet.
Yeah, he was in Tenet. And so Robert Pattinson was like,
too.
That would be nice, kind of cool. He's trying to walk around the fact that Nolan probably didn't call you for a reason, because
the face he made was just so choice, man. He was just like,
he was like, "You're my girl," but
he's like, why would he call you when he can call Anne Hathaway? Why would he call you when he can call Marion Cotillard?
Or the fact that there are people who didn't understand Nolan's vision and passed on the script or passed on the role.
I'm sure there's that earlier.
No, that's true. But with her, she said the question was basically like,
"Oh no, this is not to her. I'm just saying the other side. You have actors.
Oh yeah,
they called and they just like, nah, I don't get it.
Right?
Yeah, that always happens. Will Smith with The Matrix. Although I question his intelligence, because he thought that one didn't make sense, but Hancock was such a great, in his mind, was so deep, deeply racist is what he meant.
That's a whole nother podcast, brother.
Well, that's just, it is. That's the podcast we'll label Reading is Fundamental, even for actors. But a story for another time.
But his team, because Go ahead, Cam. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. I was gonna say the thing about Nolan, because the first time I saw him was in Memento in the theaters at our indie theater in San Jose, California. So I didn't know anything about it. I just knew there was something about it's going backwards, blah, blah, blah. That's it. That's pretty much all I knew. And then when I watched it, I was like, yo, this is something I've never seen before. The twist was crazy, and it was just super interesting. And it was like a very cerebral type of film. And then even watching it the second time, you know it, and now you're piecing together all the things that you didn't know. And that's kind of what made me start to follow him pretty much whatever he did afterwards. And literally from that moment all the way up to now, he hasn't disappointed.
No, not really. Yeah, a lot of that stuff, and then the beauty of Nolan's filmmaking is that he takes the film, the form and sense of cinema, and he incorporates it in the story the way it should be, whatever the story is. So, for example, with Oppenheimer, it is not just about the visual, but it's also about the audio that Josh was pointing out, and the scaling of that. But also that kind of audio where that absence of sound happens when something big is occurring. You don't hear it until after everything is went down. Yeah, exactly. And so he does that really well with all of his films, where there's some aspect of the cinematic form and sense that he's celebrating, or that he's elevating a little bit more than the other things. So with Memento, it was the script, the chopping up of the 3-act structure and doing it in reverse, and that parallel to the short-term memory that the character was going through and all of the things that he was experiencing. So that's the beauty of Nolan filmmaking, is that he never lets it slip by the things that make cinema so special and unique as a medium.
Yeah, and his team, to his credit, he, like you say, like he sticks with the same actors, he sticks with the same composer, the same DP, and same for the audio. Like Richard King is a don when it comes to mixing audio. As much as I complain about the sort of naturalistic the naturalistic recording style of his sound recorder, and then mixing it pretty much the way it was recorded in the room. As much as I don't like that style, the mix itself is usually immaculate. Like, it's untouchable in its quality, even though we all hate that low tone, that architect in the Matrix sort of low dialogue, even though the man's got a booming voice. The way that they recorded it in the room was just so absurdly, at least to my ear and to everybody else on the pod, it's just so absurdly low. But outside of that, qualitatively speaking, it's still crispy audio. Like, you can't. And so to piggyback on what Dee was saying, it's definitely one of those things where audio, the dialogue's here so that when an explosion happens, or there's a swell in say the score, it's all the way up here. Like it and it's not that loud. The thing is, it's not really that loud, but your ear gets so acculturated to low dialogue that when anything explosive happens, it's really here, but it sounds like it's all the way up here. So it's a good style. It's an interesting stylized way of mixing the audio that Richard King, I gotta say, of the people who do it, I will say, as much as I don't like that style, Richard King is still the best and at the top of that style of mixing audio. So this is one of those joints you should definitely go see in the theater. It's going to, between the visuals and the audio, forget, not even mentioning the fact that it's going to be a thick story because it's Nolan. This is one of those joints you really need to go see in the theater, man. Like, this is going to be, without having seen more than just that teaser, it's going to be a theater going experience, unlike most films out there.
If you can afford it.
Yeah, if you can afford it. That's the good thing.
You can afford a $30 IMAX.
Let's be clear. We're advocating watching this on IMAX. Probably
so we're
theaters with high-end seats. You're going to get snacks.
Yep.
It's going to cost you.
It's going to cost you at least 40 a person if you're two adult. Yeah. And but again, if you haven't been going to the theaters for that very reason, you haven't wanted to waste money on a superhero film, or which is basically, let's just call it what it is. Most likely, if you just threw a shot in the dark, for a random film that you're going to pick to see and spend money is going to be a superhero film. But in this case, I think you have a situation where Nolan is a known quantity. That Oppenheimer was what, 2 years ago? 2 years ago?
2 or 3, yeah.
And before that, Tenet was what, 5 years before that or something like that. So Nolan, 3 or 4 years. So Nolan gives a film like this once in very little often. So it is worth going to see it in theaters because of all the things just mentioned. Now, if you weren't thinking about those things and they're not important to you, then, you probably wouldn't, it wouldn't matter if you saw it on the small screen or a big screen. But again, this is one of those experiences that you're going to enjoy it more if you're sitting in a theater than you would if you were just watching it, especially watching it on a digital streaming release. Now you're just stripped away all of the things that's special about it, and you're just literally watching images and listening to audio. But on screen, it's a different experience altogether.
Yeah, 100%.
Does anybody know the total running time of this film?
I imagine it's going to be at least 3 hours. It probably will be 3 hours and 20 minutes at least.
So here's another caveat. You can be in the comfort of your own home with the bathroom access. You don't have to, pause it. Or you can not drink as much, go into this theater knowing that you're going to be sitting here. This is some Lord of the Rings type territory as far as total running time. Maybe even greater.
Easily.
Yeah, I think that, and I agree. And I think, but I think that's something we need, because the same could be true as if you plan to go and see a theater play. You would have to plan around that, because you wouldn't want to just get up and walk out while the performance is going on. And most theater plays are 2 to 3 hours long. And I think that was what makes the cinema special, is that it is an event that you have to think about in a way that's not just casually going and sitting down and watching YouTube or watching Netflix or anything. That experience is entirely different, and it has to be different because of that, because all these things are encroaching on its territory. And the novelty of sitting in the movie theater is waning and starting to fall out of our collective society, the things that we like to do anyway.
Yeah, and I think, if anything, I actually hope. Sometimes I think that they should have intermissions for movies that are over, say, 3 hours, just because. Like
they definitely should. They definitely should start to. They used to do that.
Yeah, they used to do it. They used to do it back in the day. But I went to a theater show for Wing Chun and the Story of Ip-Man, and that was dope. It's a good chunk of time, and so you have a dedicated intermission. A little 15 minutes, eat your snacks, go to the bathroom, all that good stuff, and then come back. And it doesn't mess up the experience or anything like that. And so I think that might have to be introduced again into movie theaters, just for these types of things where it's 3 hours long. Hey, give us a little 10-minute break real quick.
I will say the last movie that did that for me was The Hateful Eight, and they had an intermission. I didn't know what to do with myself. I was like, oh
yeah, it was a Hateful Eight. I know, because I went to the theater and saw that in IMAX, and yes, there's and you can actually see the whole extended version of that film on Netflix. It's broken into 4 episodes, but there is an intermission, and
I was like, bathroom break, food.
Yeah,
all right, cool.
It was weird. It was weird because nobody knew what to do with themselves, but it was good because you got to go to the bathroom, you got to get some break in, stretch your legs for the tall people of us who can't stand to be seated like that for too long, so that should return to the movie going culture, especially for stuff like Doomsday is coming up, and those are like event movies that are just popcorn going affairs. So why not have a moment where there's a intermission, a break to go, and then come back to finish the third act or whatever? It just makes sense.
Other than that, I think we're all looking forward to this. Seeing on the big screen, it's gonna be really cool. And again, it's as things are starting to shift a little bit towards getting into the movie theaters to go see certain things. I think it is a good thing. Like even me and Josh were talking about like something like an Avatar, where should we watch it? But should we see it on a big, great screen? Actually, yeah, because that's what it's kind of meant for. But there are certain movies that you still kind of want to see on the big screen. Like I still kicking myself for not seeing Fury Road on the big screen when it came out, because that was something that I really wanted to be in a big, good audio, good video. Like I saw it, I didn't get to see it, I saw it, and that's what I should have done. I missed it, but if it ever comes back, I will definitely check it out. So like there are certain movies where you take the time out to go see it.
Lord of the Rings trilogy, it's coming back to theaters, and I didn't see it. I know you shake your head, Cam, and listen, you're Cam, T, and I are Tolkien big heads. So, yeah, look, but I get it. No, I get it, because if I had seen it before in theaters, no way I would be. But I never saw any of the original trilogy, neither the theatrical cut or the extended. And I love the extended version, because the extended versions to me are closer to what the book was than what the theatrical releases were. So if I don't see all three, I'm at least going to see the Two Towers and or the Return of the King in the theater.
That's fair.
I did see them. I did see all three in the theater, but I have not seen any of the extended versions. I'm all over it. I will find a way to carve out time, like a quarter of a day.
10 hours of your life.
I have the extended versions on 4K, and I laugh every time I rewatch them, because there's still no Bombadil, and I laugh thinking about Cameron. I'm like, even with his extended version, not Guillermo del Toro, Peter Jackson is like, yeah, Bombadil just don't fit in here, man. There's no reason to have him in here.
That's bananas.
And if you do it, you get Rings of Power, where he's there, and it just doesn't, there's nothing to it. He's just there.
I'm waiting on somebody to do Bombadil right. Even if we know what he really is, nothing, but just do it right. You don't have to give him any purpose.
Just give the scene from the book, and it'll be fine.
It'll be fine. However, to your point and to Josh's point, if you've never seen the any version of it in the theaters, then yes, this is worth it. I've seen the original release in the theaters, and I've watched the extended version on my streaming channels. So I'm cooked. Like there's no reason for me to go back and spend.
That would be a waste of money for you too.
That's like 12 hours. Yeah. I'm cool, bro.
Okay, so
cool.
Hear me out. I think if you saw it in the theater, but you've only seen the enhanced version on streaming, you're always going to lose some quality. And I'm just saying, I think that it might be worthwhile to revisit in theater. I understand.
If you have the 4K or Blu-ray, it's fine, because you're pretty.
I watched it in 4K.
Oh, okay.
So because I have the 4K.
Wait, did you watch it 4K streaming, or did you watch it on a disc?
Streaming.
Different animal.
It is different.
Look, I'm not trying to see Shelob and Osgiliath on the widescreen for 12 hours. I'm good. My love of Lord of the Rings will never wane, okay? But I'm just being practical and pragmatic with my financial and my time.
I get it.
Okay, I get it. Yes.
Yeah. That's why I'm saying I'm not going as far as like saying that because again, you've already taken this journey. The only difference is you haven't seen the extended cut in the theaters, but then you have to weigh, is it worth spending that much money and spending that much time?
For how much I enjoyed the original theatrical release, I absolutely will spend the time. I will dedicate the time to all three movies.
Also, I say that because I do a yearly thing. I watch Lord of the Rings once a year. I sit down when it's days like this, rainy and stuff. I throw it on. It's a whole day.
Yeah.
So
I've done it too. We love Tolkien. I mean, I'll nowadays, if it's not that, I'll read the book. And I just recently watched the Hobbit trilogy, and I don't even like the Hobbit trilogy in the extended version. But I do like the thing that I like parts of that trilogy. You know, I like certain things that they had in it. But the trilogy failed because it was just a CGI slugfest, and there was
no
nothing
reason to have three movies. No
reason at all. That was a 2-part thing, if that, at best.
Wasn't it like some Wasn't it some hyper quick frame rate also, like some high frame rate that he filmed it in?
Yeah,
it looks horrible.
They had the money and they had the technology. Yeah, they had the money and they had the technology to do it, and that's what they did. It was
originally what's his name was supposed to do it. Just really quick, Del Toro, and then because he was casting brown and black elves and like he was trying to make it diverse, they were like, no,
which is now funny because Rings of Power.
Just doing the exact same thing that he did. And
so as we gotten on a whole other subtext, we'll end it there. Actually, you know what? We'll clip that and make that a separate episode because that's what we do. But yeah, thanks for rocking with us. Odyssey is going to be in theaters in the summertime. It's going to be prestige format. Everyone go watch it in the theaters. We'll watch it for sure. And Dee's going to give us our last final word.
One quick thing I just wanted to say in connecting what we just talked about, the Odyssey is definitely one of Tolkien's inspirations for a lot of the storytelling in Lord of the Rings. You can trace a lot of the narrative paths, the Dun-and-Dane flight from Numenor to Middle Earth. Like several of those are inspired by Tolkien's reading of Homer and the Odyssey. So I just wanted to say, we connect those two epics.
Nice. Once again, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Like, subscribes, and all the things. See you guys later. We're out. Peace.
Later.
The way you hear it.